Now, over the last lectures, I introduced you to some of the most important next-generation JavaScript features which you're going to see in this course. There are two other things I now definitely also want to cover. They're not next-generation JavaScript, but they are features you might have missed or forgotten, and they're super important to keep in mind. The first feature or concept of JavaScript I'm talking about is the fact that you have reference and primitive types. If I create a number like this, then this is a primitive type. That means if I create a second number, num2, and set it equal to this number, then it will actually create a real copy of number. So num2, of course, now if I log this, will also be 1, but it will have copied that value 1 into num2. Now, numbers, strings, booleans, these are so-called primitive types. Whenever you reassign or you store a variable in another variable, it will copy the value. Objects and arrays are reference types though. Let me show you what I mean. If I create my person object, which just has a name here, and I now create a second person and assign person as a value here, if I console log second person, and I hit run, it will print the same value as the first person, but it will not actually have copied the person. Instead, person, the object, is stored in memory, and in the constant person, we store a pointer to that place in memory. And if we then assign person to second person, that pointer will be copied. We can see that this is the case if we change person.name after having it copied. With that, you would expect to print Max here still, a person with name Max, because we copied person, stored it in second person, and thereafter changed the name. However, if I clear and run, you will see name Manu here, even though I'm printing the second person. So for second person, the name also changed. The reason for this is that it just copied the pointer and points to the exact same object in memory as person does. So if we change name on person, we automatically change it for second person. Now that's important to keep in mind, and it's the same for arrays. If you copy, in quotation marks, an array like this, and you then change an array element, it will also change in the so-called copied array. This will become important in React because it can lead to unexpected behaviors if you copy objects or arrays like this, because you then may manipulate one object in one place in the app and accidentally manipulate another usage of the same object in another place of the app. Therefore, we will learn techniques to copy this in an immutable way, which means we copy that by really copying the object and not just a pointer. For that, we can use this spread operator. Now we can simply create a new person object here and spread the person properties. This will pull out the properties and the values of the properties from the object and add it to this newly created object here. And we do create a new one with the curly braces. Now if I hit clear and run, we still print an object with name Max, even though we changed the name to Manu here, because now we really created a real copy. This is a technique I will also come back to later in this course. It's just important to realize and to keep in mind that objects and arrays are reference types. If you reassign them, you're copying the pointer, not the value. Therefore, if you want to do this in a real copy way, you will have to create a new object and just copy the properties and not the entire object. That's something very important to keep in mind for this course.